Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn the most efficient and powerful ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent increasing revenue. We cover topics from sales, networking, handling objections, negotiation, pricing, finding those ideal clients, and how to get rid of the ones that just don't suit you and how to set those boundaries so you can stop giving away your time, working for free, putting yourself on sale, and really start to get paid for the value and the worth that you bring to your clients. You'll learn tips, strategies, as well as hear others from personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm and life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is not only a client here at the Abundant Accountant, but he is a highly respected CPA with over 10 years of experience in tax planning, compliance, and finance, and has 7 years in corporate at a Fortune 150 company. Leveraging his expertise in data structures, financial accounting, and budgeting, he delivers tailored tax solutions that help individuals and small businesses and corporations proactively plan for success. And beyond work, our client, Tim, connects clients with trusted vendors through NPI and supports heart and cancer organizations, reflecting a commitment to both his clients and his communities. But before we welcome our very special guest to the show today, if you are drowning in low-value client work, or you're dreading another tax season because you know it means long nights, endless emails, and barely any time for yourself or your family, or maybe you're constantly stressed, exhausted, and wondering if this is just how life's going to be, the truth is none of that is the real problem. The real problem is you don't have a system to convert prospects into premium paying clients. You are not maximizing your revenue and you do not have a path to gain back your freedom. Here at the Abundant Accountant, I'll show you an exact system that's helped hundreds of firm owners double their revenue, eliminate accounts receivable, and finally enjoy their firm again, or like our client Tim, never have to go look for a job ever again without working long hours or chasing clients down for payments. If you're ready to stop trading time for dollars, go to theabundantcall.com and book your free strategy call with me and my team. We'll look at your current setup, we'll uncover your biggest revenue blockers, and we'll lay out a roadmap to create the firm you've always dreamt of having. And if we vibe, great. We'll explore and talk about how we can implement that together. And if not, we'll part friends and maybe you'll send us a few referrals. It's a win-win. But the only way you lose is by not taking action. So head on over to theabundantcall.com, grab the first spot you see before they're gone, and we look forward to talking to some of you soon. And now let's welcome Tim to the show. Welcome, Tim, to the show.
Hi, thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am super excited to have you here. I think you are an incredible example of what's possible when you put your mind to something and make a change, right? And I know we're going to deep dive into a lot of stuff today. But the beautiful thing about today's podcast is Tim is a client of ours here at the Abundant Accountant. This is one of our case study podcast episodes. But before we dive into him, if you could share where you're at in the country and what do you do in your firm, maybe how long you've had it, just a little bit about you.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm in Florida. I'm in South Florida, and I'm a CPA. I started my firm moonlighting. I came from a kind of big four, big five background. And then I did corporate finance, and then I started moonlighting and building the firm with catch-up tax preparation for IRS resolutions primarily. And then last year in 2024, I decided to take it full time, and then in 2025, I kind of decided to go with your program and it's been great so far.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk all about that today because I know what's possible for someone like you who is relying on tech and other efficiencies to figure out, well, how am I going to sell and get more clients in the door, right? So I think the beautiful thing about you, Tim, is you went from feeling completely stuck, overwhelmed, isolated to doubling, your new client engagements, increasing your revenue by 15,000, recovering 5,000 of AR that you thought never would have come your way and into your bank account. And, for other firm owners to know that this is completely possible so they can stop spinning their wheels with those kind of efficiency upgrades, we can call them, that don't really move the needle and start to have conversations that now you are having. So let's start with something a little fun, okay? What's something right now in your life, maybe even with your wife, that you felt totally was impossible before you started working with me that now you're like, wow, this has really made a shift in our life, in my professional life, in our home life, with our family, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you start to think of all the things you have to put on hold
Mm-hmm.
when your business is challenged, right? So
Mm. What'd
so
you
I
put
think
on
that
hold?
yeah, I think there's certain maintenance items around the house, and there's vacation plans, and um, as we own our house, so as you know, if you're a homeowner, something always pops up, and so you got to address those things. My dog at the beginning of the year, yeah, got into a garbage can, and we had to have surgery for him. So
Mm-hmm.
things like that pop up, and that adds extra pressure. And so you start to think of things that need to be cut to, you know, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And since, having the successes of a better sales system, and an actual sales process, um, it's relieved that pressure.
Mm.
And the future, is bright in terms of, thinking of how I could scale the business, and
Yeah.
and live out better dreams, all those fun things that we have in
Yeah.
mind.
And before that just kind of felt like impossible for you, right? Or I mean, I feel like when we first spoke, you were like, I think I might have to just go get a job.
It's still it's still kind of it's so recent.
I know it
So
is
I could
recent.
still kind of reach back and feel those feelings.
We'll leave them in the back though. We'll leave them in the past. We'll put those behind because you don't need to feel those anymore. But it's so close, but how quickly everything shifted for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I came from a pretty comfortable corporate,
Mm-hmm.
Fortune 150 senior middle management area. So I mean, it just you get the feeling like, okay, if I can't get this thing really cooking, what am I
Yeah.
leaving on the table?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now I don't feel that way. Uh,
Awesome.
Total shift.
Yeah. Okay, so let's rewind back a bit. What was the firm like before we met? What were you struggling with on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so there are multiple things. I think a lot of my time I spent last year in 24, I was trying to improve the client experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking to tech, as you mentioned, um, and and I was kind of thinking of sales process and sales systems as like sales menus
Mm.
and visual aids that I need to provide clients.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I 180 degrees on my opinion on how that sales process looks. And it's really striking to think, we talk about the sales being better and the sales process being better, but
Mm-hmm.
by having a better sales process, you're setting clearer expectations with your clients, which improves your client experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just necessarily about the money and about, getting more revenue in the door. also satisfying that client experience that I was looking for.
Yeah, because that's a byproduct, right? The more revenue, more money in the door is an actual byproduct of setting clear expectations, having the process, having it thought out, and not having it be what you thought was tech and sales menus and other stuff. I'd love if you could actually talk a little bit more about this, Tim, from the firm owner perspective, because two things. A lot of people think a sales process is going to be more tech, menus, pricing, calculators. What else have I heard? CRMs, all these tools. But in reality, what we talk about as a process has nothing to do with any of those tools. So what would you share with a firm owner now that you know the value of a legit sales process, and that you probably already have the tools if you have a firm because you have the tax software, the accounting, like you have these things that have other elements embedded in it that you can utilize to help support you to maybe create the better client experience. But for someone who has no idea, just like you had no idea, right? And you were doing all this tech stuff and sales menus and other things, what would you share with the firm owner now if you had to like say the definition of that?
The definition of, like different tech options versus sales process.
Yeah, like what we do here at the Abundant Accountant, what you created in your firm was a sales process binder. You right? Versus what you perceived a sales process was 2 months ago.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, we mentioned a sales process binder, but it's also a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding the what the tech is really providing and how it can uh, just knowing kind of the things that you learn in a course. It it makes it so that you understand what the sales process is, what the client needs are, what your role is, and then also, how tech can provide, automations and different supporting aspects, but it's the tech isn't going to do it for you.
Nope.
You really got to understand
Yeah.
your role in the sales process
But
and
you
the sales
already,
process in general.
yeah, and you already had the tech though. Most firm owners already have the tech piece. You don't need to add more tech to your tech. What you need to add is what you're talking about, understanding clients' needs, having a different mindset, understanding how to communicate, right? And communicate with the clients. And also, like you mentioned earlier, set clear boundaries and expectations. That's the process. No software and no tech is ever going to do anything for you. Even I don't think Chat GPT will do it for you. You can't replace the human element with this unless someone comes up with a really amazing robot, which might happen in the way, way future. But right now, I don't think so.
Yeah, they're all tools, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're all
They're all
tools.
things that make you more efficient, move faster, but at the end of the day, you got to understand what's driving value for a client,
Hmm.
um, and what's that need that they have.
So, what was the breaking point for you, Tim? When was the time that you realized you had to make a change? You had to do something different?
Um, it was slow season of it was December. So December is generally slow. People are on their holiday vacations. There's no imminent deadlines.
Hmm.
Everybody's kind of all our clients are
Hmm.
burying their head in the sand. I don't want to think about taxes.
Hmm.
Um, and and I was kind of in a place where I did okay in my first year, but it wasn't nearly enough. And so that's where I was kind of like, all right, well, I need to either this thing needs to start really performing,
Hmm.
or I need to consider my other avenues.
Hmm.
I have contacts that I can go work for somebody. I
Hmm.
have, the old corporate way.
Hmm.
I have, so there were some different options happening, mentally thinking, how long should I give this,
Hmm.
and what are my options? And when you're
Yep.
there, right, you're really I had another business owner that recently gave up his business.
Oh.
And as I was trying to talk to him about how can I help you, how can I support you, selling certain equipment and whatnot, I had to take a stop and just ask him, hey, do you really want to do this? And I kind of had to stop myself in the middle, because if you are already there saying I'm selling equipment, you're already past. There's no helping you.
Right.
You're out the door.
You're closing
So
shop.
I was pretty much, I would say I was at the door.
Wow.
Uh, I was looking, I was peeking out the door, just making sure
Mm.
I had both sides as options, but I was.
Wow. You were that close and you still said, okay. So what was the thing that, like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall and then he went over the other side? What was the thing that said, okay, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do this? Because you were just peeking out the door. You were already at the door. And I know there's people listening to Tim that are skeptical, and honestly, like I love that and I'm sure you were a little too. But what was going on in your head before you said, okay, I'm just going to go all in? I'm going to enroll here. I'm going to do the 8-week sales mastery course. I'm going to work with the team here at the Abundant Accountant, even though I was at the door ready to kind of close this up and get another senior middle management job.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a few things. So we had met at a tax planning conference.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some legitimacy there that, I knew you were providing quality service,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously the owner of that conference put their trust in you to speak to their crowd. And then there were also other people who had worked with you in the past in that same conference. So there was already some built-in trust there. You provide some testimonials in addition. So that's one component. Then the other component was I had a conversation with my wife, and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "Listen, just give it a try. Just make sure you know, get it all out of your system and really know that you put everything into it. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can, if it works, then okay, awesome. If it doesn't, then there's always another job, right? It's not that
Right.
big of a deal.
Ah, I love that your wife supported you in that and gave you that guidance. And I think that's true. Like you were at the door, but you weren't totally out because you were still peeking around the corner to try to say, well, maybe there's something else that'll help me. And that she said, just get it all out of your system because you can always default to a job, but you wouldn't want to go get a job if you're like, oh, maybe there was one other thing I could have done. That would be terrible. Yeah. Okay. No, I love that. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think in the Q4, I had started testing, okay, tax planning, looking for high margin, but looking for higher margin service offerings. And I found them and they're great, but at the end of the
You
day,
still need to know
you
how to
still
sell
need to
it.
know how to sell it.
Well, the higher the
And
service offering goes, the higher the price, the better your enrollment skills need to get.
that's right. That's right.
Right. Oh,
That's right.
that's interesting. So how did you tie in when you were testing or, considering offering more tax planning and offering higher service offerings like tax planning and doing that, you're still like, "Oh, but I still don't know how to sell it." What was
Yeah,
going through your head at that time?
I think well, that's the thing. I had done all the learning. I
Mhm.
had committed quite like a heavy amount of learning in kind of two areas. I was really interested in digital assets. I felt that the incoming administration, uh, I had confidence that it was going to turn in terms
Mhm.
of the approach to digital assets.
Mhm.
So I'd spent quite a bit of time learning about that. And then I also spent quite a lot of time learning about different tax planning opportunities and options and
Mm,
strategies.
yeah.
So I had the learning part down, but I just, in terms of how to approach your clients, once you have your client's interest,
What do you say?
what do you say? And
Uh-huh.
the whole conversation was unstructured, and
Mm-hmm.
it just leaves holes, right? I mean, it you don't if you don't have an understanding of how that conversation is going to be held
Mm-hmm.
successfully for both sides, where both sides
Mm-hmm.
are going to feel satisfied, um, that's a big hole in the whole business.
Yeah.
And so
What did that whole cost you, by the way? Because you didn't know what to say.
oh, I would say the whole of not having a sales process
Yeah, in that first year of business.
probably $50,000 of missed
Mm-hmm.
opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's time that you're not spending,
Mm-hmm.
you could have made productive use of. So yeah, probably
Mm-hmm.
50, about 50,000.
Yeah.
Um,
So curious if you could share, why do you think this actually worked for you? Because I know that there's a fear and a thought in everyone's mind and any firm owner. Well, what's going to be different about this coaching program? I get 8 million Facebook ads every single day. There's so many coaches out there. What actually is going to be different about this program versus a book? Or what's going to be different about this program or a YouTube video? Why do you think this actually worked when other things don't work for firm owners?
Very good question.
Well,
I would
thank you.
say it's a combination of things that make it work. Um, I think you have done a good job of curating mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like positive mindset, people in your organization and yourself, but then also being bossy and demanding results, um,
I
because
love it. I
because
haven't been
you can
called bossy in a long time, Tim, but I like that.
because well, you need that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I actually just spoke to a newer client prospect, and he was talking about, I think it was the E-Myth.
Yeah, the
Um,
E-Myth going the Baker story that's in that book. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and um, I told him, he was wondering about all kinds of different business things, and I said, okay, yeah, they're great, and I mentioned EOS and Traction by Gino, was it
Mm-hmm.
Gino Watkins, or I'm not sure his last name, but he at the end of the day, you can read all these things, you can learn all these things, but you need to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I mentioned it's a very positive thing that you kind of demand the work be done. And because that's what it takes. You need to
Yeah.
get the work done to be able to see results.
Yeah. And you did the work. So let's talk about that because, there's really never a good time if you're in a job, if you have your firm, if it's tax season, if it's extension season, if you're doing bookkeeping and it's year end. I mean, it's just always busy with this industry. Doesn't matter if you own accounting, tax, bookkeeping, fractional CFO, resolution firm, whatever it is, everyone's always incredibly busy. So it requires time, right? You have to do. You can read all the books, but you have to do. That's what you just said. And I truly believe that. So we can be bossy and we can demand results, but ultimately it's up to you, the firm owner, to actually do the work. So, what can you share a little bit about actually getting the work done and managing it with a family, with maybe, right? You're peeking out the door. So you're probably job hunting at the same time. You have one foot in, one foot out. But you said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to commit the time, which for us is an hour a day, 7 days a week for 8 weeks. What would you share on that for other firm owners that might be, really hesitant because they're like, oh, it's not the right time? Well, there's never a right time for anything in life. But this 8 weeks, you waited a year and it cost you 50 grand. So the amount of time or money we wasted ruminating on a job, right? That too, and being frustrated and trying things and missing opportunities, not helping clients. Like there's a whole laundry list that's a lot more expensive in my mind than an hour a day. But you put in the work. You put in the time and you got everything done. And yes, we were bossy. Love it. But stayed really positive. I'd love it if you could share about, just getting the work done and what it was like being busy.
Yeah, it's I have a toddler at home. So it's my schedule is, you wake up, you spend an hour,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit more getting him ready, getting him out the door, and then it's work, and then it's once you just go nonstop, just eat at your desk, and
Mm-hmm.
then he comes home and he's a whirlwind until he goes to sleep. And then you have this small amount of time with your spouse, and
Yeah.
then and then it's you got to restart your brain
Yeah.
on okay, get back to work.
So you did
And
it late night. You committed
and
late
that's
night, huh?
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
cool. Okay. I didn't know
Generally,
that. Uh-huh.
generally I was doing it late night. Maybe if it was slower because I think I started in February.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I had some opportunities, some pockets during the day. Um, but yeah, I mean, you like you said, you got to just carve out that hour and just take it 1 hour at a time. Just try to put that 1 hour in. If you're
Mm-hmm.
driving, put like put the some of the video lectures on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you can speed up the lectures to 1.5 or
Oh
two,
God. I
two
do not want to
X.
listen to myself at 1.5, two times
Um,
speed. That sounds terrible, Tim.
but like you just gotta commit
Gotta
yourself to it. I
commit.
mean it
Well, and I think that's what happened to you. You finally started to think like a CEO, right? You stopped making excuses, you showed up, you made bold moves, you put in the work, and that's why you were an incredible student, right? Because sometimes we can make our decisions based on I don't have any time, or I don't know if this is going to work, or that seems scary, or any of those other mindset blocks that a lot of people have. So I'm curious, did you ever doubt yourself in the process during the 8 weeks together? Like, would this work for me, or what the hell am I doing? Would I get myself into?
this is I mean this seems like a softball. Absolutely not. Like I just don't have that kind of
Okay.
if it's working, if I can see it and I could see it and it's
Mm,
pretty clear, I think there's the way you structure it, you structure it in components. So it's
mm-hmm.
sometimes hard to see it at first what this is all going to add up to and what this is going to
Mm-hmm.
mean as a whole package. Um, but I think like if you've done anything bigger like the CPA exam or even getting your EA or any kind of certification, like you until you're finished, you can't really look back and see the whole thing. I
Mm,
mean,
yeah,
so
that makes sense.
just keep your head down and do the work that they're telling you to do.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that definitely
that's so
makes
that's
sense.
that yeah, that's my mindset when I go through this this program, but then also just almost everything.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's a great mindset to have, by the way. Not everyone has that, Tim. Just saying. What were some of your biggest results and wins that you've created in just the last 8 weeks working together? You can give numbers. I know you shared what you missed out on, but what would you say are some revenue wins? Other wins, personal ones. I think your wife's pretty proud of you. I feel like you shared something like that. Share with us all that.
Yeah, I think what's so up through today, or maybe it was earlier this week, I had
Mm-hmm.
done 100% of my revenue from last year.
Wow.
Um,
In
so
in like a 90-day period, is that then?
yeah, so from April, through April 20th area.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So in
so
3 days.
about just over a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that was a huge win. I mean, just to already have that in the
That's
last
massive.
year's that last year's performance done. And sure, I have some work. I have some, you get paid up front, so
Hmm.
I have some work to do. But to not worry about cash flow, that's a huge win because
Hmm.
the way that you instruct people and your students is to you know request payment, and we get paid up front. So
Yeah.
um it's that's a beautiful thing that leads to a lot more a lot of a relieving feeling. And so my wife, obviously I can walk around the house a little more confident. She definitely notices it. And uh we'll I think we were going down to a dinner in Miami, and we were on a train with some friends. And my friend is also a real estate brokerage owner, and we
Hmm.
were talking about sales systems and sales process and
Uh-huh.
different business things. And my wife kind of chimes in. She usually just zones out and talks to the spouse
Yep.
when we get going on those things. But she was following along, and she was just like, yeah, before he met his sales coach, and she didn't, and I don't know that she called you by name, but like
Uh-huh.
before he met his sales coach, you know, I don't know, it's been a huge difference, right? So, um, yeah, I mean,
That's
having
awesome.
her be confident is
Yeah.
awesome. It's a great
Hmm.
feeling.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, and I'm sure it's made an impact on everything, right? Like if your dog got in the garbage again, had to have a surgery, it'd be like, oh, okay, we'll take care of it. Where it's not that burden on your shoulders. You have that relief and you have the cash flow to do anything you want when you need it.
Yeah, that dog's surgery was
Oh, I
$10,000
know.
that
My
went.
dog had the same one.
Yeah, that went on credit.
Wow.
And now that's paid off. So
Hmm.
it's that's a very good thing.
Hmm.
Um, vacations are nice, and everything else, doing improvements, making investments, those
Yeah.
are all great. But if you're backed up into a corner,
Yeah. It
and then
sucks.
just getting that release, and that you can do it, and you're going to make it through. It's that's Yeah, that's where you came in and provided that, and that's
I'm,
invaluable.
I'm, I'm so happy for you. So, what's different about how you feel waking up each day now versus how you woke up each day 2 months ago?
I think of myself much more as a business owner now.
Mm. Got your
Like you
CEO
said,
hat not on.
absolutely. I definitely feel very confident in that. I almost, I've got to do the tax work, but I almost don't want to do the tax work. I almost want to hire
Yeah, you're going to hire
different.
and delegate that part out. And
Yes,
now just run the,
absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I
And
love this.
then I'll do the selling, right?
Yes.
And I'll do all the management and kind of higher level
Hmm.
tasks that you can't really delegate. So what I think I saw someone your $1,000 per hour hat on. Yeah, I mean, like that's the
Mm.
kind of
Hmm.
mindset that
Mindset you have
I'm
now.
I'm at. Yeah,
Hmm.
when I get
Awesome.
there. So that's how I wake up every day. And then right now I'm actually trying to hire up, and um,
Hmm.
so that I can do that.
No, it's great. And your feelings, I know you feel more confident, but any other feelings that you feel now versus the ones you felt before? And I don't think you shared what they were before.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I was before before I was. We went from being isolated, right?
Hmm.
In that moment of, do I abandon this dream?
Yep.
Um, frustrated and confused, and
Hmm.
um, now I'm, profoundly grateful and happy, and
Hmm.
um, excited about the future. There's a lot of promise.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
I'm just very confident in uh, being able to be the business owner that I see other people do it. I think my some other I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family,
Mm.
um, and one of my relatives said, other people are doing it. What that means you can do it.
Yeah, it's true. I was just sharing with a friend, they're like, oh, well, there's other people in my space. And I go, that's great. More competition means that there's more people doing it. That's a great thing.
Yeah,
You know,
that's me. It means it's possible.
it's
So,
possible.
uh,
Yeah, there's a
yeah.
market. It's possible, and people need the help. Yeah,
Yeah. What makes them better than you?
just
You know,
you, your
yeah,
mindset, your enrollment skills.
that's right.
Yeah, your
That's it.
client experience, right? Those are the things that make you unique and different. So, Tim, I'd love it if we could speak to the firm owner listening right now, thinking, well, that's great. It worked for Tim and a bunch of other people, but I don't think it'll work for me. What would you say to that person that might be thinking that right now? What would you tell someone who's scared to invest in themselves? Money, time, but knows deep down they can't keep doing it all alone and they can't keep doing it on the path they've been doing because they're also losing money.
Yeah, having been through um, the experience as a firm owner without a clear understanding of what a sales process looks like. I think I mentioned to you, Michelle, that I thought marketing and sales were the same. I thought I just need to get more leads.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that right after this. Yeah, so finish
Yeah,
your thought, but I do want to talk about that exact thing because I would say 95% of the people that reach out to us thinks that marketing and sales are the same thing. But continue on.
yeah. So I would say having been through that experience of not having a sales process, not under, and you don't in accounting and in tax, right? You don't know what you don't know, and that can be the most dangerous thing. I would say I would say this is one of those moments where you not knowing how to sell properly
Mm,
is one of those scary things like international tax. You have a client with international tax exposure, you know nothing about international tax. And you don't know that you're filing a return wrong.
mm,
It's same thing, right? That's what's
mm.
happening right now. You don't have
It's
a
a
sales
dangerous
process
spot to be in.
and you're getting yourself into hot water because
Mm,
you're missing so much opportunity. Um, and it could sink your business because you'll discount yourself, um, or you won't be able to land the big client that you want. Um, you'll hire staff and not be able to fill the work. So
mm-hmm.
you're missing out on huge opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love that. Okay. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. And I like how you connected it to if you don't know international tax, that could be very costly. So now that you know going through this process, what a clear and concise and step by step foundation blueprint sales process looks like, and you are clear as to the difference of what is the difference between sales and marketing. How would you share that with another firm owner that says, well, I just need to get leads first. I need to do lead generation. I need to do marketing first. What would you say is the difference when they think that that's actually working on their sales?
I think I'd say kind of two things. There's a reason why uh, you kind of realize there's a reason why you called yourself and your channel and everything around you the abundant accountant,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got to have that mindset of abundance. You can do marketing and marketing meaning going to networking groups like BNI or various different professional network groups, and you can
Mm-hmm.
meet people and create these extra contacts, and then they'll refer to you. But if you and you could do social media marketing. There's so many different ways you could do marketing, and market it. That's just getting your name out there. That's step one. And then you need to close those people, and you need to have a clear and concise
Mm-hmm.
and consistent and repeatable sales process to be able to
Mm-hmm.
close those marketing leads. They're totally separate.
They are.
You could, I think if you come from big corporate and you didn't work in marketing, you kind of think of them in a group, because
Mm-hmm.
that group just generally uh, does their all their work together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think having defined a sales process in my business and understanding the differentiation between the two, it's again, you kind of now have a better understanding of what your tools are, right?
Yeah.
So I have a sales process. Uh, I'm not getting enough leads. I've closed all the leads that I have, and I've got the work going on, my right hand side with my team. I need more marketing on my left
Mm-hmm.
hand side so that
Mm-hmm.
I can give them more and expand my team. And
Yep.
um, so yeah, that's how kind of I would think of, you get a better understanding of what they mean by sales funnel.
Yes. No, and thank you for making the distinction that they are totally two separate things because they are. But now that you have your sales process and you've enrolled all the people that you didn't before and you've cleared out the I call it your pipeline. Now it's time to fill up your pipeline again by going out and doing marketing. So that's what's up next for you, it sounds like, in your firm.
Yeah, I think it's always it's kind of like an always thing. It's
Yes, it's an
I
always
always
thing. Always.
I think of it kind of like you don't need you may not need marketing now. You might not need to bring in more people now, but if you need them in 3 months, 6 months,
Yep,
you need to do the work now.
totally.
Um,
Yep, that's
so
how you
so that's
build your
why
pipeline.
that's why it's always kind of you're always doing that part. And that's why you also need to staff up so that you can get the work done, so that you could
Hmm.
focus on those things. And
And delegate so you can just be a full-time salesperson, be the CEO of your firm like you want to be. Yeah, love that. Um, Tim, what's one lesson from this journey that you think every firm owner needs to hear right now? For someone that might be listening who's on the fence, they know they want to make a change, but what's that one thing that you feel a firm owner would need to hear from you right now?
it's really tough. I was, I would say, indecisive in the aspect of, do I need a coach? Um, uh, I'm a very smart person. I'm a CPA, right? So
Mhm.
I grew myself through the ranks of corporate hierarchy, and so
Mhm.
I'm a smart person. I can figure this out on myself,
Mhm.
and I'll just hire another person, and then I'll be able to delegate, and then I'll be able to focus the time. You can do all kinds of different approaches to this, and I would say I tried that last year. I tried to do client experience with getting a new practice management software and all various things, right? I mean, those are all very important. Sure, they have their place. I would say this is not knowing and not having a clear sales process is a death sentence.
Mm.
It is,
Mm.
um, you are, it may be a slow death sentence, right? You could
Mhm.
be, slowly eating bad foods, junk foods, and you'll take what will happen is you'll have a poor sales call, you'll discount your services, so then you'll need to get more clients. So
Mhm.
then you get more clients, and then you're overwhelmed, and then your overwhelm turns it into dissatisfaction
Mhm.
or health problems or
Mhm.
um, uh, you just slowly eat away at your business and at your life, and um, so don't do that.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's a great spot to wrap it up because not having a sales process is a death sentence. And I think I need to use that in our marketing. I think that's a great idea, Tim.
It's a little morbid. I don't mean
It
to be
is a little
morbid,
morbid, but it is really true.
uh,
I mean, how much money did you waste on tech stuff and efficiencies and sales menus and all the other stuff that you tried before we met? How much do you feel money-wise you invested? We know we
I would
wasted a
say
year of time.
I would say money wise, I was smart. Right? I'm an accountant. I didn't invest my cash flow too much into it, but I invested huge amounts of time,
Yeah.
huge amounts of time trying to find, I mean, what is it? Jason Strauss on YouTube is a very good resource, and finding all these people and listening to what they're doing
Yeah.
and what tech they're using and
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that is all very good, but this has been the biggest ROI, I would say.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
do it. Just,
Yeah.
it's an investment in yourself, right? And then you train the trainer, you train yourself, and maybe you can delegate, and you know, um, you guys are great resources. So
Thank
just
you.
having you guys as resources is huge.
Yeah, we're always here for you, Tim. But it's been an honor to work with you and watching you step up into this confident, calm CEO who I think likes sales better than doing the tax now, which is awesome. Because when I hear that, I'm like, yeah. And I know you've inspired other firm owners today by sharing your story. So I just want to thank you for taking out the time to be of service to those who also are listening and might feel stuck just like you were. Because now they have an option and a plan to move forward or to stay and do nothing, right? So it's really up to them, but I think you gave a different perspective, and I just really am grateful and honored to have worked with you, and just thank you for taking out the time. It's been an honor.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Abundant Accountant podcast. What a story, huh, with Tim. And just so you know, all of that happened in 8 weeks, because he realized that not having a sales process was a death sentence to him and his business. So if you're an accounting, tax, fractional CFO, or bookkeeping firm owner, and you believe that you are about to have a death sentence with your firm, and you are tired of the awkward sales calls, and you're worried you're going to say the wrong thing, or you're going to discount and start undercharging for your services, I've got something for you. I will show you how to lead every sales call with total confidence so you can finally charge what you're worth, work with the right clients, and finally hit your revenue goals without sacrificing weekends with your family time. Imagine closing high-value clients in just one phone call, paying off debt, or like Tim, paying off a $10,000 vet bill, and booking that dream vacation that you just keep postponing. That's the kind of freedom we create here at The Abundant Accountant. So go to theabundantcall.com, grab your free, no pressure strategy call, where we're going to break down your current setup, find the gaps in your revenue in your firm, and map out a clear path to double your revenue, even without any new clients, just like Tim did. So once again, head on over to theabundantcall.com, and I look forward to speaking to some of you soon. We'll see you in the next episode.